Kiltz, CMI Fertility, and Erin McCullough for
Hello.
Fertile Hope Yoga. And we're glad to be here. And we're going to start live on Instagram for CMI Fertility and live with Fertile Hope Yoga on Instagram.
Finally.
Hi, once again, Dr. Rob Kiltz and Erin McCullough from Fertile Hope Yoga. And we're so excited to be here and sharing a live Facebook and Instagram. Your questions, comments, ideas, and Erin's going to share her thoughts and ideas about yoga and fertility. So maybe I'm going to start by allowing Erin to share some thoughts and ideas about yoga and a little bit about, tell us a little bit about yoga and fertility.
Okay, well, first of all, I apologize to everybody because we've been trying to do this for 2 weeks now. And so I decided to get in my car and drive to Dr. Kiltz because I really want you guys to have this information and these opportunities. And so that's what I did. I drove just come see you.
Well, and our fireside, fertile fireside chat is still without fire today because summertime and we're trying to get on the lake, but it's still a little easier in here. And again, really grateful to everyone for sharing, liking, and bring on your friends and family to learn some new things about fertility, health and wellness, yoga, and the benefits of yoga for fertility. And Erin and I have been working together for about 10 to 15 years now, a long time. And I know for myself, I started doing yoga a long time ago in order to de-stress. And can you imagine stressful person here? But de-stressing really helped me out in my life. And through that connection and learning a little bit more about yoga, and maybe you can introduce it a little bit more on how it helps for fertility.
So a little over 10 years ago, I'm very fortunate to have met Dr. Kiltz. So I was already specializing my practice. So I have a background in healing arts. So I was a massage therapist for 15 years. I've been practicing yoga for over 20 years, energy healing, all kinds of the mind abdominal massage, all kinds of healing modalities. And our Heather, who's one of our acupuncturists in Rochester, introduced us, and you asked me to come on and start this yoga for fertility program. And honestly, it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And I really feel like it's such a blessing. It's my biggest blessing, and I just want to thank you, and I'm so grateful for that.
So yoga's been around for thousands of years, and tell us a little bit about how yoga helps in the process. What do you do at your Fertile Hope Yoga, and how you brought this to CMI Fertility clients, but clients in our Rochester and throughout our locations, but also working on that global connection through your Facebook, Instagram, videos. Tell us a little bit about that.
So for the last 10 years, I've been leading in-person classes at CNY Fertility. And through that, it's evolved. And now, since we're seeing people from all over the world, Fertile Hope Yoga is an extension of the in-person offerings that's going to be available for everybody, so that it doesn't matter where you are, you'll receive all the benefits of the yoga, of being in community, of having all the emotional, mental, physical support from a different angle through the yoga. So I'm very excited to bring that and how it works. So yoga is a holistic practice where it addresses not only physical parts of our body, but our mental, our spiritual, our emotional, I'm forgetting one, mental, spiritual, emotional, physical, all of our bodies. So in yoga we have 5 layers. And so it works really nicely with Western medicine because to me, the deeper levels of our bodies, and what I know through practice is the deeper levels of our bodies have to be in alignment with our physical bodies for even the medications and for the treatments to have the most impact and possibility. So, and it starts with our beliefs. So our deepest layers, some of our deepest beliefs are our stories, our inner dialogue, and how we, what we believe. And a lot of that, and I know a lot of you, why you've chosen Dr. Kiltz to be your doctor is because he helps you create a story of belief of that this is possible and there is a way, and he leads that way for a miracle to open.
So I've gone in on Erin's yoga classes, and it really starts with just a welcoming, warm space. And the beauty is that the women mostly, but men are welcome, is a conversation.
Yeah.
And free to share the inner pains, the worries, the fears, and just the conversation and talking about those things is some of the things that I found really so valuable there.
Yeah, and Ali Domar.
Ali Domar's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. She's a Harvard researcher, and I know you've worked with her. She has done all kinds of research studies about the impact on pregnancy rates increasing simply by including some of these mind-body practices with your fertility treatments. And pregnancy rates do go up because the bottom line is, every cycle that you're not pregnant, it's grief. You grieve that cycle. And over time, if you're not giving yourself space to process what's happening emotionally and mentally, it builds. It builds.
So fear, worry, all this judgment, we don't want to share with our family, our friends. We certainly don't want to share on Facebook and other places. And
so many stressors.
The value of that conversation, I find that it reduces cortisol, epinephrine, and it's releasing that load that we're carrying around. Mm-hmm. And when you're sharing it with those that are experiencing it, and so many people, I know you've talked about these groups that come through and then suddenly one person gets pregnant, another person gets pregnant. And obviously that's what this story is about, helping you towards success on this journey and how to get there. And if you can't physically show up to Erin's yoga classes, sharing it with another yoga instructor, or joining in on yoga, Fertile Hope Yoga on your website.
I do have a YouTube channel now too. So
what is the website?
Practices.
What is the website?
FertileHopeYoga.com.
And the YouTube channel?
The handle is the same for YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. It's all Fertile Hope Yoga.
And so really this is sharing modalities that help you without putting any extra spending out there.
Yeah.
And Erin is going to be offering some extra levels and some depending on where you're at in the journey, that's really helpful. But tell me about the breathing and yoga. And why is breathing? I know when we get stressed, we hold our breath.
Yeah.
And holding the breath, it's realizing that, it builds up the toxins at the cellular level, doesn't bring in the fresh oxygen and get out the carbon dioxide. But tell me about it.
See, this is why it's nice, because he can do the science. And what I know about holding your breath is it means there's a disconnect happening. There's a disconnect from your heart and from your belly, your gut, your gut level instincts, and your truth. So when you're in a situation where you're holding your breath, automatically you've initiated, there's a fight-flight response, but there's also freeze. So in that moment, if you're holding your breath, there's a freeze. It's like nothing's coming in, nothing's coming out. And until you create that space with the breath, there's not an opportunity for life. Our breath is our life force. It's a way we move energy through our body, and our cells, our beings are energetic bodies. So the more we elevate our energy, we attract that.
So the getting back to a little bit of the science, and we've heard so much about mitochondria, and now we're injecting mitochondrial transplants into ovaries and eggs and all sorts of other organs to rejuvenate them. And this is where PRP may come in. But the whole point here is that the mitochondria require oxygen in order to keep that energy level functioning. And so the breathing, it just keeps the mitochondria fully puffed up with plenty of oxygen to do the job of creating the energy that helps supply the cells to do the work that they're meant to do. And obviously we're talking about reproduction here.
Yeah.
And
in the bigger picture of things, it helps you when you're breathing, when you truly, and by the way, innately, we don't know how to breathe. I know you're all like, oh, well, I'm breathing right now. Yes, but to really take a full breath where you're breathing not just from your lungs, but through starting at your pelvic floor and using your whole torso to breathe, it's something you have to learn.
So can you show us how it's done?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, you want to do like a little breathing?
Just a little breathing exercise.
Okay.
So
all
wherever
right, so
you're
we'll
sitting, relaxing, not driving. Well, you can do it while you're driving too. I
No,
guess.
you
Okay.
can't.
All right.
Because we're gonna close eyes. Okay, so we're gonna do a very simple, very short breathing exercise so you can learn what it feels like to actually feel your breath. So if you bring your hands, everyone can bring your hands to your low abdomen, one hand to your low abdomen and one hand to your low back. And you're gonna close your eyes and drop your energy, drop your attention into your body. So if you're sitting, simply feel your body in contact with whatever you're sitting on, your chair, your couch, your floor. Real simple tuning into some sensations about what's happening in your environment. So listening, maybe there's sounds of traffic or birds. And once you've cued into your surroundings, now bring your attention into your body. All right, so your hand, you have one hand on your low back, one hand on your abdomen. And as you breathe, on your inhale, which is in and out through your nose, because breathing through your mouth activates your sympathetic fight, flight, freeze process in your body. So breathing in and out through your nose. On your inhale, you want to feel a gentle pressing of your abdomen into your hands. And then on your exhale, you'll feel a contracting, or your abdomen, your low back will move away from your hands. So we're just cultivating some awareness. And if you're not feeling your breath all the way down into your low belly, into your low back, it's okay. Just see if you can deepen your breath a little bit and invite your breath to move down. And then you may notice the front body. You may be more dominant in the front of your body as you breathe. Maybe your back body isn't moving at all. So when we breathe, you want to think of a balloon expanding on the inhale. So it expands in all directions, top to bottom, side to side, front to back on the inhale, and then on the exhale, that balloon shrinks and comes in. And as you're developing your capacity for breath, you're creating space. And as we create space from the inside out, we have an opportunity to start feeling a sense of freedom. When we have space, when we have choice, we have freedom. And in that freedom, there's like a light of hope, of endless possibility. And that's when we can really feel and regain our sense of grounding and trusting the process. And this is when it gets real easy, especially if you've gone through multiple cycles that haven't worked yet, to lose your breath, to lose your footing, to lose your grounding. But to get that back is, yes, it's sometimes a conversation with Dr. Kiltz, you know, a plan. We all need a plan. But sometimes it's simply sitting with ourselves and coming back to that space where we can know.
So as you're focusing on the breath, it seems like everything else just sort of
Opens up.
going away.
Yeah.
And here we are, right?
And here we are.
And I've always...
In the present moment. So now it's not about what's happening over here, what has happened, or what's happening over here, what's about to happen. It's now. It's, I am okay now. I am alive and breathing and whole now. And that's it. What else is there?
Can you do this relaxation technique everywhere and anywhere at any moment that you find the need? So, because we talk about yoga and you have to go to yoga class and you have to get on the mat, but do I really need that?
No. Well, no, you don't. The benefit of going to a class is the people, right?
So it's
your tribe.
It's the
your
tribe,
community,
the village,
the collective energy.
the energy that we're all bringing together, and that's what this is all
to
about.
Create the collective energy of creating. That's what it's about.
You can't do it alone, and so many of us retract in our loneliness and our pain with the worries and fear of what's not working, and the yoga for fertility is really important, whether you come to that personal class, but even joining online where you see so many and we're all communicating together, and so many are sharing their stories, and we're so grateful for the stories.
Everything's a story. And most important are the stories that you're telling about yourself. So if your stories are anything other than, I am fertile, I'm going to be a mom, I don't know how, it's just a matter of when, but there's a knowing, I know.
Or a dad.
Yeah, and or
because
dad.
we want to bring
right,
the
because I'm used to talking to the women.
Because there's
You're
so
right,
much
right.
there's
Thank
so
you.
much fight or flight energy and in all of us. And calming that energy down is so important to the process. And you know, I talk so much about the food component, but this is really connecting the mind and the body in a moment, which is the most critical component, because we obviously sit for our meals or we have those moments of our meals, but the energy that's going, it's a electromolecular, and we are thinking, right? We're just this thinking stuff, and
we are not our thoughts, by the way.
And yet our thoughts overwhelm us and create. And so I've always sort of come to the area that we are but our thoughts. Obviously on a higher scale, we're something else, but it's what we put in here that vibrates to the energy. Yeah. And when we can get on that mat,
for any space. So a mat is like, if you think about the mat as a metaphor for any space.
Absolutely. So
where you can disconnect and connect in.
But do I have to have the right outfit and like the right yoga pants and the right yoga shirt and all the accessories, or can I just do it like no matter what?
20 years ago, we didn't have yoga pants.
Fancy. Like everyone goes out in their yoga pants like they're dress clothes now.
Yeah. I know.
But it is. I mean,
do
obviously
like the yoga pants.
they are nice and comfortable. But you're realizing that you can do it everywhere and anywhere.
Yeah.
In your fancy outfits.
Because you have your breath. Your breath is your greatest asset. One of your greatest, most empowering tools that you have. It's always with you. And guess what? And this is what I tell my yoga students. You know, this shit doesn't necessarily get easier.
It's like.
So you got to learn this stuff now.
I thought I learned all of this already, and yet something new always piles on.
Right.
That I have to do the work to clear and bring myself back to a center.
That's right.
Calming energy. And yoga's been around for a couple of years, just invented, so is it modern technology or?
Well, it's originated in India. I don't even know how many thousands and thousands of years ago, but it's basically a practice. The yoga postures are there. Are you seeing me sit up?
No, I'm sitting up, trying to get in the right yoga posture.
He's sitting up. So the yoga postures are there to support, are there to help people be able to sit longer in meditation, in contemplation, in that space that we just did together. You know, that space where you can kind of sink in and be one with your body, connect into your truth, and then out. It's a spiritual practice. It's not religious. It's an honoring of the divine within each and every one of us. That's why we say namaste at the end. It's an honoring of the divine in each and every one of us, and then up.
So it doesn't matter your religious beliefs or none, but the activity is so important to the infertility experience, because being infertile seems so unnatural.
Yeah, I mean, nobody signs up for it.
Right, we're not, and so what's supposed to happen naturally isn't. Like, but then so many other things pile up.
Yeah.
And I consider yoga as many ancient herbal remedies or Reiki, acupuncture as really traditional medicine.
It is, yeah. And they use it. There's prescriptive yoga sequences, and that's what to have an impact on your body. Every single yoga pose has a mental, spiritual, energetic, and physiological impact on the body. And when you string those poses along together in an intentional way, you can really create something awesome.
All right, so now I apologize if it seems like I'm ignoring everyone out there.
Let's
and
see what
it's
they
not
have to
my
say.
intention, because you guys make this process, by the way.
Okay,
but
let's see what they have to say.
Lala, Chris, Bill, Christy, Teresa, LaKincia, Jessica, Christy, Emily. So just hello to everyone, and remember, as long as you comment, like, share, you're added into the IVF giveaway. We're really working to add so many things onto the whole process. And anyone else just get feeling of stress and anxiety instead of calm?
Oh, is that from the breathing? Is that from the breathing?
I don't
exercise?
know.
So well, just in case that was in response to
Jessica. That was a good question.
Okay, so if you had feelings evoke that actually you felt more anxiety instead of calm, my guess is that when's the last time you sat with yourself? So it's like a cleansing happening. So it, if you will. So sometimes we do as a form of avoidance. We're really good at avoiding our emotions and what's happening inside of ourselves, because a lot of times if we go there, it's painful. Or it's hard. Some of the emotions that come with this process are hard. And if we're not used to sitting with that and going there and being with those things, it can feel like an uprooting. It's an uprooting in some ways.
So anger, fear, worry, all these things that come about from this experience that you're going through, but like anything else, it's a practice.
The other thing is you can do it with your eyes open. So instead of closing your eyes, if you would close your eyes, maybe start with your eyes open. Sometimes that can feel safer for people if they're new to the practice.
Well, so what about adding essential oils, a candle, music? What other things can we add to the practice that maybe add to the healing energy?
So I think next week or the week after we're going to have essential oil, because I know you guys have had so many questions about essential oils and how that can impact and support where you're at. But yeah, all these things. So the music, sometimes it's helpful to have something that's can be a focal point when you're first starting out, beyond what's inside you.
I've always found it gives you that beautiful vibration that you can find that focus as your mind is beginning to wander and you're trying something to bring to the mix. And
the essential oils, actually, each one has its own.
So I'm just noticing there was a question because I was going to comment about hot yoga.
No.
So really what we're trying to do is cool down the body and cool down the mitochondria, because when you heat up the body, you denature DNA and proteins, which is not good for fertility, and you're going to damage the eggs and the sperm, the embryo, the uterus, the tubes, the environment. So cool yoga is likely the best that I recommend. And I know.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason to. I know, like, Americanized yoga is more like a workout in some ways. It's the gym yoga.
It's
the gym yoga.
Right. And this is really not the gym yoga. No. And I know for myself, I work more in meditation with some yoga poses. I don't actively go to a yoga class, but I do a lot of meditation.
Meditation is one. There's actually 8 limbs of yoga. One of the limbs of yoga. So yoga isn't just about the physical postures. This is where people get so confused. They say, Erin, how the heck does yoga help fertility? Well, I say, well, first of all, you have to know that yoga is not just physical postures. It's about how there's the yamas, the niyamas, the meditation, all these aspects come together and how we're interacting with our external circumstances and our internal world. And it comes down, if you just meditate for a couple of minutes a day, you don't have to do all the poses. You're still doing the yoga.
And there are so many, on our CNY fertility website, we have meditation podcasts that I think are very helpful. And again, between that, I always like to find a good...
I love Headspace. That's my favorite meditation. There's so many good meditation apps
right now. But CNY Fertility has the best ones. I'm kidding.
What do you...
We have them on our website.
Okay.
Yes, that's okay. But there's so many great ideas out there, and we're always looking for energy and ideas, by the way. So, and let's see, Erica from Oregon. Well, we'd like to jump in on a few questions as we're having this conversation about a 41-year-old AMH of 1.09. And you know, the AMHs is not an exact measurement of whether or not you're going to get pregnant or not. And certainly by changing the environment, we help AMH go up, FSH go down. And typically, a normal over 1 AMH would be a standard stim for IVF, but you always want to think about not diminished ovarian reserve, but maybe ovarian egg quality a little bit, and adding a little human growth hormone, and make sure a little low-dose naltrexone and keto, and and Fertile Hope Yoga.
I love human growth hormone. Can I say that?
Tell me a little about what do you think about human growth hormone?
Well, all I know is the 10 years that I've been supporting the CNY clients going through their cycles, that anyone who says they're going on that medication, I'm like, yes, it's worth every penny, because I call it the miracle drug. I feel like it really can be so supportive.
But what's interesting about all the things...
Anecdotally, I'm not a doctor.
These, remember, these are recipes in so many ways, and we're adding the right spice individually. Yeah. And human growth hormone helps a lot, but we're finding some people it doesn't, and we're finding even some people it might have made it worse. And just as we're working to come up with all these different modalities, we don't know which is the one that's gonna make it. But
that's the hard part.
That's why we add the blanket approach, right? Being covered by a blanket is better than the shotgun approach any day of the week. So it's really important to, we do some things like the 41 AMHO of 1.09. We're going to try our standard, which may be Gonalef or Follistim plus some Menopur or low dose HCG, a little bit of human growth hormone, making sure you're looking at keto diet, paleo, making sure you're looking at acupuncture, massage, meditation, yoga, really critical. Are you breathing right? Are you connecting with someone that's going to help you in the stories? And there's so many stories
be a guide.
Well, we all need a coach and a guide.
We do.
And it's the game of persistence. I had a text earlier, 7th transfer baby, and someone from Texas, it didn't work yet, hasn't worked yet. And I don't know why any of it works or doesn't work, but I've seen enough successes. And it can be a very frustrating process, because you think, okay, I'm going to do it one more time. But if it doesn't work, I spent so much money, so much physical and emotional energy. Travels are difficult.
And you know what helps people persist? I'm thinking of one woman, I'm not going to say her name, but she had 9 miscarriages, and she finally got her miracle baby through IVF, through you. And she tells me all the time, yes, I did all this work. I would not have been able to do it without the tribe at yoga and the guidance that the yoga community at CNY gave to her. It's such an important ingredient to have that on those days where you feel like giving up, so you don't. Because I remember when I first started working with you, that's the biggest thing you would say. You know why people quit? Because we need to have, they're not persisting. They stop because they
lose hope.
They lose hope.
And so Fertile Hope Yoga helps bring that hope back into the picture.
Yeah.
And again,
keep it.
And so then you can hug and cry and share the stories, the fear, regret, and worry. And persistence has power. And I never know who's going to find the success with this method, but they might find success with a different method. This is why I talk so much about laparoscopy, hysteroscopy for pelvic inflammation. I talk a lot about keto and other anti-inflammatory diets, intermittent feasting. We talk about if a natural cycle is an option. For so many people, natural processes, where what we're doing here is aiding with natural process. And so many come through us go through the yoga, go through acupuncture, go through a laparoscopy, hysteroscopy, and want to continue naturally. And many are conceiving naturally. And we love those stories that you continue to share. And when it's not working right, we always like to have the conversation. Okay, we look at what did we do? What can we do differently? And sometimes we scratch our head that, boy, that one worked there, but it's not working here. And the absolute answer why is a mystery. And so that's the challenge.
I think that's one of the hardest parts is continually, how do you continually put yourself in this creative process of taking a leap of faith when there's no guarantee.
Deb Weber asked about the studio, and it's Fertile Hope Yoga. And the actual studio is in our Rochester office, 2244 East Ave in Brighton. A beautiful 100-year-old house with great energy, and it's really wonderful. And Corinne Nice talks about affirmations. So journaling and putting affirmations and vision boarding, which we've utilized in the past, and put a vision board together with yourself, your partner, your family, your dreams, your desires. And the universe really instills and brings so much together. And
focusing on those things, we have a choice. We can focus on those things or focus on the negative, right? We have a choice. Which
is our natural worry to go to what's not working, and so that's our
habitual
nature. So this work, and it's work, and it can be difficult sometimes to sit in one place. I know I'm one of those that sitting in one place is a little more challenging. And Tiffany, how are you doing? And community acupuncture. Oh, so here's a good one. To man Tiffany from South SD, community acupuncture, and
we do that.
We do
in
community
acupuncture
in
all the CNY.
That's
we have
right.
it once a month in Rochester. I know they're doing it in all the locations.
So again, bringing that energy together is really, really helpful. And just like going to yoga classes, community.
It's really everything. Coming together with people with a similar intention. And holding that space with people is really powerful.
And Mel Bowman, thanks for all you do, by the way. And Javon Johnson, positive thinking. Absolutely. And the Fertile Secret, we put together from The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, took that concept of what you're thinking and how to bring that to fruition. And, every thought has an energy packet that affects us positively or negatively, and maybe there isn't any in between. It's one way or another. And so constantly working on the positive approach is so important in this journey, by the way. And energy, it's Brian Kelsey, you're right, it's energy. And so we're just a vibrating energy battery pack, and so we need to bring in the
fuel,
oxygen, a lot of oxygen, lots of it. Oh man, more oxygen than we realize. And I think maybe that's something we need to talk much more about.
What people are reading.
I know so much about what are you listening to, what are you reading, and Game of Thrones is great, but it's probably not the thing you want in the background at night when you go to bed. You want that beautiful picture, the fertile grounds. We have the Fertile Grounds Cafe in our Rochester office, which is about bringing, I'm a bulletproof coffee guy, by the way, and that the rich coffee, butter in it. It really it's about fat, and we got to consume the fat, which we know that consuming fat reduces inflammation, and really that's what we're talking about here. And there is
yoga reduces inflammation. All of it.
It's all about reducing inflammation. So ultimately, it's all about the immune system, and that we're really talking about how do we take control. Remember, I'm not responsible for your body. And you're not responsible for mine. We're all working to learn the techniques to become individually responsible for this battery, this energy maker, right? And so these modalities really, really, really are amazing. And so patience in the process. And that's the perfect nature. And Toya, we love your positive energy, by the way. And, the test, whether it be negative or positive, right? You're waiting for that positive. And it's a frustration. So I do my test today and it's negative. How do you handle that? How do you share that journey of it's not working this time today?
How?
You hear it all the time.
Oh, I know.
And you know,
hard.
it is how do you talk about it?
So in yoga, I like when people show up. It's a hard day to show up and say something like it didn't work. But getting it out, not taking it personal. It's nothing about you. It's just a not yet. And I'd say getting support and sitting with it. And if you're sad, be sad. And if you're angry, be angry. And then as you give yourself those times to feel those feelings, then at some point let it go. Because if you don't, it's a layer. At some point you're gonna have to unwind later. Which is why if you're sitting with yourself and you start to feel anxious, a bunch of that stuff is layered up.
I read a lot of Christian texts, and a lot of the Bhagavad Gita I've read, and a lot of, and the Quran, another great text to read. And when in these moments you're feeling it, pull these out.
Yeah.
Listen to them. And someone was asking, Jessica Reppenhagen asked a little bit about podcasts and YouTube. And I know that I've listened to Jack Canfield, Deepak Chopra, and Richard Rohr, and there are so many. And today, I'm reading a book on happiness, and I'm always searching to bring something new.
You know my favorite book?
What is your favorite book?
Well, that I recommend. It's called "You Are a Badass" by Jen Sincero.
Yes.
It's awesome. It's really good. Highly recommend. Does yoga help with male? I don't know what that word means. Interference.
All right, so
Keep going.
So yoga helps on the male and the female side.
Yeah.
And the one thing I talk about is that the intra-abdominal space is where the blood flow is robbed because of our constant running around.
Yeah.
And simply by stopping and slowing it down, we allow the blood flow to get back to the core.
Yeah.
And for men and women, the core blood flow is lost. We don't take a siesta and nap. I believe we should be eating one meal a day at night, rest and digest. And maybe the great practice is, even when we pray before a meal and after a meal, and we have that relaxation after a meal, and cut the meal down in volume, in frequency and amount. And my belief is fatty, fertile foods first, and always bringing Maria Emmerich into the puzzle. And she's got all her keto stuff, and Maria is going to be joining us in September, and we're going to do some live stuff with her. So check out her stuff, by the way. And it would be really helpful. I see Angela Barrera asked about Chino Hills, California. A kid from LA, by the way, Silver Lake. And we need to all be sharing as a village where you're finding your best yoga places in your neighborhood, acupuncture, massage. Get out in nature and take a walk and do yoga in nature, out in your backyard. Bring your friends and neighbors together. These are all the simple things, I
think yoga is like, and all these practices are hygiene. They're hygiene, just like you brush your teeth every day, and you wouldn't think about not doing that. We have to get into the same type of hygiene for our mind and our bodies. And that's what this is. Any of this stuff.
We are not taught how to slow down.
Yeah, we're not.
Get off the treadmill. My philosophy is no exercise, and yoga is not exercise.
No.
It's a meditative, spiritual, and healing activity. And as we also begin, so I do so many audiobooks.
I do too. I love audiobooks.
Audiobooks,
all
Audible.
the time.
And I go to Amazon and download the Kindle version, often buy a paperback, hardback.
I do too.
Oh yeah, and add the Audible, because I get something different from each of them. And if you haven't read The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho and read by Jeremy Irons, it is like, I've listened to it because this is a journey for all of us. It's in some way, how do we bring this infertility journey as a gift to help us? It's sort of like that roadblock that says, hold on, just wait a minute. You need to stop, slow down, smell the roses.
So Dr. Kiltz told me to read that book 10 years ago, The Alchemist. I finally read it about a year ago. And so January 1st in yoga, based on that book, when we do our sharing circle, the women in the class now, they share something they're grateful for. Gratitude isn't something we haven't talked about yet. Something they're grateful for, and something they have now, a gift that they've received being on this journey that they didn't have from before. And basically helping them position their brain in, wow, this is a gift. Even though it doesn't always feel like it.
So I have a website, mindbodysmile.com. And for 10 years, I was doing and writing a daily poem, daily intentions, and the 3 Gs, gratitude, goals, and game plan. Mm-hmm. And I practice those internally every day. I write in my journal. I listen to something. I read something. And it's just something, a great practice in this process. And
it's really not optional. I think that's what we have to recalibrate ourselves. It's really not optional. These things are just like brushing our teeth. They're not optional for our mental wellness. So our emotional health.
And the beauty is it really doesn't cost anything.
No.
Because all of this is really, there's so many free resources on the internet today. And again, the free resources are on CNY Fertility, CNY Healing Arts, Mind, Body, Smile, and Fertile Hope Yoga.
Yes.
Right? And so they're there. And
yeah, I'm working to put a ton of content on my YouTube channel that's just getting stuff out there. And if you go to my website, I have a free guide right now that I'm giving away too about how to stay positive, even though we know the fertility journey can be challenging.
So Allison Dawn Grimm talked a little bit about drinking ice water, where it cools the tummy and redirects blood flow to warm up those organs. And cold plunges and cooling down the body is what we need to be working on, because so many of us are on a treadmill or we're racing around, and when you're worrying, that's a fight or flight response, and our brain worrying about all of this or yesterday or tomorrow is like a lion thinking about attacking us, or a shark, and
that's when we breathe and slow down, and then we can respond instead of reacting, and reacting is usually default to worry, because that's what we do. So
practicing this responsive nature with love, kindness to ourselves, right? Compassion. We must be compassionate to ourselves and our partners, our family, and even those sometimes that might say the wrong thing.
And that goes to us.
Well. Remember, quite often in this infertility journey, people are, they're asking that question, they're saying this or that. How do we get the practice of how does that energy become more positive for us?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the breathing exercise of in through the nose with a smile, and out through the mouth with a smile, because the actual smiling energy, just smiling,
Has an impact.
has a positive impact on every single cell of our body. That's the vibration and energy of the universe. Carrie Poland is asking yoga for fertility videos. Are they online or they're coming?
They're coming.
So just little bits at a time. But Erin's putting out. You got some Facebook Live stuff out there.
Yep, I'm doing. If you join the CNY Fertility Support Group by emailing Lisa Stack, lstack@CNY Fertility. I do Facebook Live yoga in there, and then I have some YouTube videos, and then October 1st, I will be releasing my online courses, yoga for fertility courses.
And also, obviously, as we're doing a Facebook Live, just you doing a Facebook Live is going to add so much. And again, it's back to the fertile family, because that's what this whole journey is. It's a fertile family of bringing so many together. So really, really appreciate everyone joining. Rebecca, haven't tried yoga, but my relaxing place is sitting in front of Skinnies Lake or walking to the very end of the pier and looking out. And water.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, water is so relaxing. And here I live on Skinnies Lake, a very, very relaxing. And Sky Yoga, Courtney Chase at 42 East Genesee in the village of Skinnies. But check out also CNY Fertility Yoga.
Yeah,
But
all
really,
the centers have
we're
yoga.
here to support all yoga out there. And when it comes to the fertility journey or a health and wellness journey, cool it down, slow it down. Really, really important. And let's see. I'm reading.
What questions? What are you reading?
I don't know. We're going to find some questions here. And again, thank you so much. And just participating adds you to the list. But we really are encouraged to whoever you're connected with, share these experiences, not just on the infertility journey, which we're creating a fertility path, but those that have anxiety and depression and heart disease and other inflammatory conditions, because it can be very helpful for them also. So really, really important. And so again, thank you. Cold liquids, okay. Sarah Weber, great question. So cooler, and even, it's obviously room temperature. We're not shocking the body where you're adding a bunch of ice water and trying to cool it down. No. What I'm suggesting is just the exercises and activities that heat up our body may be pro-inflammation, and we want to reduce the inflammation and not to increase it. And hello, Amanda Young, how you doing? 8 years on infertility. Doctors told me I have hydrosalpinx and need to remove both tubes. So you don't need to remove the tubes, but removing the tubes is going to improve your success with IVF. A 14 to 28 day course of antibiotics, transecting the tubes. We used to use the Assure to block them proximally, but that's come off the market, or it soon will be, and probably no longer the best method there. But IVF can work without removing them, and so don't despair completely. And again, a gratitude to everyone who's sharing. We're so appreciative. We have a great team of providers, both yoga, acupuncture, massage, our nurses, practitioners, doctors, between Syracuse, Albany, Rochester, and Buffalo. We're seeing clients from around the country and the globe. Our mission is affordability, quality, access, and an integration of traditional ancient methods and newer Western technology. And between IVF and PGS, PGD, and ICSI, surgical technology, and integrating an immunologic modality, because the immune system trumps everything when it comes to every disease we know, and it really is the cause of all of our problems. And I was reading a story about Robert Atkins, and so much of what he shared was really about reducing inflammation. And the ketogenic diet is really that key for so many of us. And I know it seems so crazy, but I've seen diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, infertility be solved, even natural methods. So again, on this journey, let's keep going. Let's not quit. And we have just a couple of minutes. I think we're gonna lose the Instagram team, but again, Lorna, Akla, a pleasure. Everyone, really a pleasure. Stacy, Jimmy, Renee, Virgie, Christina, everyone out there. And I apologize again for my mispronunciation. Let's see here. Mary Annette, 33, a consultation coming up in August. And remember, we have consultations waiting, and in the waiting process, we're seeing so many people succeed by this story, this conversation, changing what you put in here, and what you do with the Ferrari, which I call the lion. And check out my TEDx talk, Dr. Rob Kiltz TEDx on the human Ferrari. And check out my fatty ribeye steak and ice cream. It's a little crazy, but it really is.
It's on your website, right?
It's on our website, but if it's not on our website, just Google it, and you Google Aaron stuff, and you find much more about it. A cancer patient seeking first attempt within the next few months froze 8 eggs while going through chemotherapy, and it may be that the chemotherapy is going to shut down and damage the egg and the sperm, but it's possible that they can come back. And so adding so many of these modalities can help. And we're using a lot of Neupogen, human growth hormone, low-dose naltrexone, and I'm going to throw out the CBD again. And there's a lot of anti-inflammatory effects to the cannabinoids, and there are many more than just CBD, but it's without THC is critical. We're not going to go down the THC at this time. And I think coffee and tea can be very, very healthy. Adding the butter and cream, which is fat, which is better than our intralipids, if you can get that. The soy fat isn't perfect. Omega-3s, that's why we need the healthy animal fats, the butter, the cream. And I'm learning so much more about hemp seed oil, which is high in omega-3s, which is the key to reducing inflammation. And now we should all be measuring the omega levels, the fatty acid levels, the inflammatory levels, or just knowing that you have it is likely the culprit for all of us. And how do we treat it without all the blood tests? So anything else you want to share? We got a couple more minutes, Aaron.
All right. Let's see. Oh, anything else I want to share? Oh, I thought you were going to ask them.
Hi, Justine, by the way.
Oh. I would say just that make sure you're getting support. So whether it's with a counselor or with a group or, and this is why I'm bringing my work online, because I just want to be able to help everybody. But it's so critical. It's so important to be able to keep going, to stay positive, to be able to grieve. I mean, grief is a process, and to have support going through that process is critical. So,
right. So
get the support. Get support.
So I'm known as Dr. Positive, and Tia's always saying can't always be positive, and I too have some fears and worries, and sometimes get a little down and depressed, and I know that these are natural things, and expressing our anger and fear and worries is
have to
important.
get it out.
And so the journal it. Talk about it. Get a friend, because I know that I'll call Justine or Aaron or call someone that I can talk about it, whatever it is, and it helps reduce anxiety. And you know, our lives are so anxious, and we're throwing so many drugs at ourselves. And personally, I believe the complex carbs and our heavy carb diets are really hurting us so much. And so let's see. Oh,
Bye, Instagram.
bye, Instagram. All right. We're still on with our
Facebook family.
Facebook family. And you know, I could probably talk for hours, and we're just going to finish up in a couple of minutes. And again, we're all praying for all of us, because this is a family. And sometimes it seems like we could be insensitive or not listen or miss things, and we're humans. And our human teams are working hard for you. And we're just so grateful for patience in the process. And we need to make sure that you get all your medications, you get all your instructions. And I put a lot out there in this crazy journey. And so don't give up.
Don't give up.
And
Oh, I have one more thought too.
yes,
Okay, so I'm reading another book. Another book recommendation is called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's the Eat, Pray, Love author. And she talks about, in any creative process, and fertility, your fertility journey is the ultimate creative process. Fear is a component. And the object is not to push fear away, because it's there. It's to accept the fear, but not let fear drive. So if you think of going on you're on this journey, you're on a road trip, let's say, she talks about fear goes in the back seat. Fear comes along because pushing it away can actually create more pain and stress. Fear goes in the back seat. You drive. Inspiration drives. The creativity drives. Fear goes in the back seat. So I like that analogy. I feel like it helps people because that perspective is like acknowledging the fear, but moving forward anyways.
so it's the rear view mirror that we're always kind of seeing fear. And I've created an acronym, Faith Evolves and Restores, for fear. And so we embrace that which we're afraid of. And those things in life that are the most valuable are the hardest to obtain. And so that's what this treasured journey is really about. And it's quite amazing. And Larissa talks about endometriosis and hyperprolactinemia, which are basically inflammatory conditions from this whole process we're talking about. And it's going to affect count, motility, morphology, DNA fragmentation. And remember, even if everything looks normal, if it's not working, there's something wrong. And it could be either the egg, the sperm, the embryo, the environments. And so, you know, cleansing our minds and our bodies and our households, right? So plastic, and, you know, I've been drinking out of glass, and you know, I say not too much water. Drink when you're thirsty. Don't go too crazy. You don't want to dilute everything in the body. And so these practices, acupuncture, yoga, massage, meditation, it's far better.
It's part of the recipe.
And it's better than treadmills and jogging and bicycle, where everyone's getting on a bike and doing craziness. Slow it down. That's what this is about. And remember, turn the frown upside down and give yourself a little pat on the back for being on this journey and sharing your stories. And to everyone that's joined us, again, share it around and add more people to the mix, because they can also hand you that IVF winning. So whoever wins it, if you got friends and family joining in, we're really excited to have them all join us. So God bless.
Thanks, everybody.
Namaste.
Namaste.